Thank you. What a thrill to have two great Hall of Famers here with us who know about this rivalry as well as anyone who's ever played the game. And Joe, first of all, you almost became a Red Sox manager in 1988. How did that work when they made a change in midseason?
Yeah, I was broadcasting for the Angels at the time, and we were in Detroit. And I get a call. It was right before the All-Star break. I got a call from Lou Gorman and asked me if I'd be interested in managing. He says, I don't know what we're going to do, but we may make a change. And if we do, want to know if you'd be interested in managing the Red Sox. And I jumped at that. I mean, I've been broadcasting for a few years after, getting fired for the second time in my career. And then you can finish the story up till then. I mean, after that.
Yeah, Joe Morgan took over as interim manager, they called him, day to day. And Joe's reaction to the media was, interim is not in my vocabulary. He won 12 in a row and 19 out of 20. And he's still going strong here today.
God bless you, Joe. And with making that job more permanent, I bought a box of cigars and sent them to Lou Gorman, and I said, thanks for thinking of me.
Oh, I'm sure he appreciated that. David, you came up with the Twins. Remember, you had a grand slam against the Red Sox early in your career, and then Pedro recommended you to the Boston Red Sox. How did that work?
I guess it worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
You asked the wrong guy.
Right. But you saw him in a restaurant?
Yeah, I kind of bumped into Pedro. Dominican is a small island, The city had been growing and growing. But back then, it was just, it was easy to find people, and Pedro was one of those guys that in the off-season, everybody go back home and go to places, and I just bump into him at this one restaurant, and he was asking me how things were going. I told him, hey, the Minnesota Twins just released me, and he was like, that was a mistake.
It was.
Let me get you on board with the Red Sox, and that's how it went down.
And then you came to spring training. I remember you were sharing the DH roles with Jeremy Giambi, and then you had a 14th inning home run in Anaheim to win a game, and after that you just took off on the 2003 Red Sox, which was one of the most powerful teams ever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my case, it was pretty much one of those cases that we see it a lot in baseball, lack of opportunity sometimes, and once you get that opportunity, you never let go.
Joe, you grew up following a great rivalry, the Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants, and even though you were from Brooklyn, you were a Giants fan. Then you later managed the Dodgers, saw that series from a West Coast perspective. How does Red Sox-Yankees compare as a rivalry?
Well, I grew up living in Brooklyn, and I was a Giants fan, which was, a mortal sin. You weren't allowed to do that. And we had three teams in the New York area at the time. And if you were a fan of one of the teams, you automatically hated the other two. So, I hated the Yankees and I hated the Dodgers, and I wound up managing both those teams. The rivalry, I thought that was ferocious. I mean, you got two teams in the New York area, and the rivalry was so strong. And then I played with the Cardinals, and I had the sense and feel of the Cubs and the Cardinals, which was amazing. And then when I came to the Yankees, nothing can compare with the Red Sox-Yankees. It even got to the point where Don Mattingly's son was going to be drafted, and he didn't want the Red Sox to draft his son, okay? But the rivalry was so crazy that when we'd play, you play 18, 19 times a season, after one of the series was over, either Terry Francona would call me or I'd call him and would say, we're glad this crap is over for 6 weeks. It's, because everything was it was like World War III. I mean, the media jumped on it, loved it, and I guess we pretty much lived up to everything because, as you saw in the video, two teams that were pretty passionate.
When did you become aware of it, David? Because you hit the Yankees so well right from the get-go with the Red Sox.
It really hit home for me after the playoff 2003. When we ended up losing in New York, I was looking around and I saw people crying and everything. I was like, this is real right here. I mean, coming from Minnesota, where, basically it was your family coming to watch you playing over there. And then all of a sudden, you have the most incredible fans making you feel the heat. It was a whole totally different game, you know what I'm saying? And once I saw that happening after the 2003 playoff, I was like, man, this town right here is a baseball town. This is real right here. And that's how I started engaging myself to the rivalry.
Joe, Larry Lucchino coined the phrase for the Yankees, the evil empire. This was about the Jose Contreras signing. And your boss didn't take too well to that term, did he, Mr. Steinbrenner?
He didn't take, he didn't take that very well, or a lot of other things he didn't take very well. He certainly didn't like to lose, and he really didn't like to win by 1 run. He wanted to beat somebody by 10 all the time. But the rivalry was ferocious. I mean, there was no question about it. And having to play each other so many times, all the things you think may happen did happen. And it was, we certainly prepared. I remember we had one series against Baltimore at home, and we were going up to Fenway right after that. We played probably the worst game because I think we looked right through that series that we were playing Baltimore because we knew what was, ahead for us. And it really consumed us. There was no question. You can say it's just another ball game, but that wasn't the case.
Well, certainly the height of the rivalry, I guess, was first in the 70s, Carlton Fisk and Thurman Munson, Bill Lee, and that group, and then 2003 and 2004. And really the seeds were sown for the Red Sox championship in 2004 and 03 when the Red Sox came so close. They had a walk-off home run by Trot Nixon and big hits by Big Papi to win the series with Oakland. And then they took the Yankees to the 7th game of that ALCS. Were leading 5-2 late, and then eventually Aaron Boone hit the crushing blow to beat the Red Sox. And you guys both saw it from opposite perspectives, but one, the ultimate high, and the next year, when the Red Sox rallied from 3 games to none, the ultimate low. There was nothing in between in those 2 seasons.
No, you're right. There was no there's nothing mediocre about any game we played. But 03, with Pedro pitching, and they went ahead of us, and I think Roger, started for us that year. And the one funny thing about it, that game, Mel Stottlemyre, my pitching coach, come in before the game. It's Game 7, obviously. There's no tomorrow, and he says Mike Messina is available out of the bullpen, but let's have him start an inning. So the inning where it looked like Roger was going to get in more trouble and we're already behind in the game, I said to Mel, get Moose up in the bullpen, and he got Messina up, and when I'm out to make a pitching change, I bring Messina, and it's the bases loaded, and nobody out, or I think it was nobody out. It was nobody out. And he comes into the game and gets out of the inning without giving up a run, and he went on to pitch a few more innings. And then he came to me after we took him out of the game, and he said, I thought you weren't going to bring me in the middle of inning. I thought I was going to, start an inning. I said, I guess we lied to you. I didn't know what else to say to him. I said, but you gave me a good idea for next year, because now that I know you can work out of the bullpen, and I got halfway through that sentence, and he walked away from me. So.
But I tell you what, I remember that move, and when you take out Clement at the moment, me just, my first year there with the Red Sox, I asked myself, man, he's taking out the rocket in this situation. I mean, that type of pitchers, they always want to find a way to bounce back and do their thing, and just watching Mr. Torre just going out there and be like, hey, I love you, but I ain't losing this game today. I was like, I mean, that's a hell of a manager right there,
He certainly is. Well, the next year, Joe, the ultimate.
Well, let me, when we win the game, when Booney hits the home run, the one thing, I mean, aside from the happy thing I saw Manny run off the field, which means we won the game, see, and when he hit the home run. But the one thing that really struck me, I saw Tim Wakefield walk off the field, and he just, walked off, his head down, and, this guy, and you talk about what baseball, to me, it's a game of life, okay? And Tim Wakefield had a heck of a year that year. And, all of a sudden, it's just like falling off a cliff. It's over with. And it really struck me that, he didn't deserve that ending, okay? And so go ahead and pick it up from there, and then I'll finish that story.
Well, certainly Wakefield helped save the Red Sox the next year. Down 2-0. They get blown out 19-8 in Game 3 to go down 3-0. No team had ever rallied for that from that deficit. And Tim offered to pitch the rest of the game to save the bullpen and the other starters. And the Red Sox went on from there. Did that sort of galvanize the team when Tim did that to rally the team a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, Tim was the perfect guy for their organization of all time. He don't care if you want to bring him out of the bullpen. When it was playoff time, he was ready no matter what. I mean, that guy saved us so many times. But he was our leader. He was the guy who calms everybody down. He was the guy who used strategy for us to win games. He was the guy that was available. He basically run the starting pitching and the bullpen. You know what I'm saying? He had the ability to do that, and that was huge for us.
Well, this past week, your son, D'Angelo, was drafted by the Boston Red Sox. Congratulations. Playing out of Miami-Dade. And I saw a tweet. In fact, the Boston Globe did a story about how the late Tim Wakefield's daughter, Brianna, tweeted congratulations to your son, because they grew up together at Fenway.
Absolutely. Those kids, they grew up together. They are family. I mean, now that they are all growing up, when they see each other, it's like it's a family thing, I'm very proud of that young man. He's a good kid. He basically tried to do everything that me and his mom told him to do, and he loved and breathed baseball, because in a younger age, I basically told him, in baseball it's a tough career. It's not an easy thing to do, and if you want it, you got to chase it. I mean, I'm your dad. I'm going to give you advice. I'm going to teach you what I know, but you are the one in charge. We're going and getting it, and he's aware of.
Well, certainly it's great that relationship continues. And Brianna would be a student at Boston College this year as a freshman, Tim Wakefield's daughter. One thing you guys both share, and the greatest 1-2 punch I've ever seen, Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz. And you got to manage Manny as well.
Yeah, keep applauding for that. I know. One time, they had a right-hand pitcher on the mound, and I walked David to get to Manny, and Manny hit one off the wall. And, the next day he looked at me and he went like this, "Don't do that." And I promised I'd never do it again. But as luck would have it, when I was managing the Dodgers, Manny came over and, and became became one of my players, which was a kick. I mean, I always admired what he did, obviously, on the field, not liking it, but admired it. And he come over and he said, Joe, what do you want me to do? I said, Manny, why don't you get your hair cut? So
just to begin with.
And he said, you want me to get my hair cut? I said, yeah. So he come in like 3 or 4 days later, comes into my office, and he stands there and then turns around, just to show me, what do you think? I said, what do I think about what? He says, hey, my haircut. Well, he got about this much cut off his hair. I said, it looks great. Don't worry about it. But he was special. There's no question.
No question. And David Ortiz mentored him. Right?
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I went through so many things with a man. You had no idea, But the one thing that I can tell you about him, he worried so much about competing, preparing to compete, and to find a way to beat you. That is, it was amazing. Like his preparation. I got the memo early. I understand why he was one of the greatest hitters in the game, and he get prepared for. He used to do his homework very well, and the type of way that if you observe him, you will learn. He wasn't the guy that liked the camera as much, but if you watch him closely, I mean, he was a masterpiece when it comes down to hitting.
Yeah, when I had him, we'd be on the road, and I'd be at the ballpark early, for a night game. It would be like 12, 1 o'clock, and Manny would be there taking batting practice. He'd get in the batting cage and take batting practice, then go back to the hotel, lay down for a bit and come back. But, as Papi mentioned, he did take his craft very seriously, and, the numbers, prove it worked for him.
Well, certainly you both had so much success. Joe Torre is the only guy in baseball history to have 2,000 hits and win 2,000 games as a manager. Joe, thank you so much for joining us.
It was fun. Thank you.
And a guy who was a Red Sox Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, hit 688 in the 2013 World Series, so many clutch hits, walk-off hits, and one of the great people the Red Sox have ever had. Big Papi, David Ortiz. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Joe.